Once upon a time, there was a great war. And when it finally ended, all the soldiers made their way home. And one of the soldiers, a woman, arrived back in her own country and was walking along a road, wondering what she would do with her life now. And then she saw sitting at the side of the road an old man with his hand stretched out, asking for help, asking for food. Now, she only had some bread with her, but she sat down next to the old man and broke the bread in half and shared it with him. And having eaten, he said to her, "For your generosity, I would like to give you 2 gifts. The first is this." And he took something out of his pocket that she couldn't even see. And then he wrapped it, whatever it was, around himself, and he disappeared. And then reappeared. He said, "This is a magic cloak that will make you invisible whenever you need to." She took this amazing magical object and put it in her pocket. And then he said, "My second gift to you is a piece of advice. You are going to go now to the palace because the queen has a great problem that you will be able to solve." "What problem?" said the woman. "And how will I solve it?" "The problem the queen has is that she has 12 sons, the 12 princes of the kingdom. And every morning she's discovering that their dancing shoes are worn out, but she does not know how this is happening. And people are going there to try and find out, because if they can solve this problem, they can have anything they want in the kingdom. But if they fail, it's the end of them. Well, how could I solve them?" The old man twinkled his eyes at her and said, "Because you have a magic cloak. Now listen carefully. Whatever those young men give you to eat or drink, just pretend to eat it or drink it. Do not ingest anything that they give you." "Very well," she said. "Now, off you go," said the old man, and he blessed her. And she set off straight away to the palace. And she presented herself before the queen and said, "I would like to try to solve your problem about the 12 sons, the 12 princes of the kingdom who are wearing out their dancing shoes." The queen said, "Well, I do hope that you can help, because it's very expensive replacing 12 pairs of dancing shoes every day. It's a great puzzle. How can it possibly be happening?" The young woman was taken to a chair outside a corridor where all the 12 princes slept. And she was supposed to stay guard and watch and see where they went and what they did. She was left sitting there alone, and as the sky grew dark and the sun set, she sat waiting to see what would happen. And then she saw one of the bedroom doors open, and out came the youngest of the princes, a very handsome young man. And he came towards her smiling, carrying a little tray. On the tray was a glass of wine. He said, "I thought you would enjoy something to drink as you're sitting here alone, keeping watch." And she said, "Well, thank you very much." And he watched to see what she would do. Now, she had a scarf around her neck, and underneath the scarf, hidden, there was a sponge, and she managed to pour that wine and look as though she was drinking the wine but she didn't swallow a single drop. And then she yawned and she said, I feel a little sleepy. And the young man smiled and turned away and went back down the corridor, saying aloud, she's just like all the others. She'll be fast asleep in a moment. She won't know anything. It was then that the young woman took that invisible cloak from her pocket and wrapped herself in it. And she disappeared. But she could see what was happening. She saw all the bedroom doors open. And she saw all the young princes wearing their dancing shoes go down the corridor to the last room, and she followed behind. Inside that room, the room of the youngest prince, there was a trap door in the floor, and they were disappearing down some steps. So she followed behind. She found herself going down a passageway lit by candles, and the steps went down and down and down. And then they were in a long underground tunnel, a passageway also lit with candles, but now the sides were full of trees with golden leaves. As she passed by, she reached up and she took one and put it in her pocket. And on they went, and then they came to a place where the trees were all silver with silver leaves, and again she reached up and took one and put it in her pocket. And then they came to a place where the trees were covered in diamonds, and she took a diamond leaf also. And lo and behold, after the gold and after the silver and after the diamonds, there in front of her she saw all the princes standing at the edge of a lake. And coming towards them across the water were 12 pretty coloured boats, each being driven by a princess, a beautiful princess. Each boat pulled up at the shore, and each prince stepped into one of those boats. The princesses were rowing, and she just managed, our soldier just managed to get into the last boat. And that princess said, my goodness, things are heavy tonight, I wonder why. The princess didn't know that she was rowing 3 people instead of 2. Then they rowed over to an island, and this island was like a party island. It was full of music and colour and lights and a feasting table, and there was such a party. The princes and princesses danced and danced and danced and danced and danced and danced, and this was what was wearing out their dancing shoes on this magic island with these magical princesses. The soldier, the young woman, thought to herself, no one will believe this until I take some proof. I must take something. So she went over to the feasting table and she picked up a silver goblet and put it underneath the invisible cloak. And when finally the dancing was coming to an end, and the princes kissed their princesses goodbye and climbed back into the boats, and the princesses rowed them again back over the lake, and once again the soldier, she got in to the last boat, and she followed the princes, going past the trees with the diamond leaves and the trees with the golden leaves and the trees with the silver leaves, and up the steps back into the trapdoor, into the bedroom of the youngest prince. And at one moment she bumped the last prince, and he turned and said, what's that? There's somebody here. Everybody froze. The soldier, she kept very, very still. "It's nothing," said the oldest prince. And they continued, and they went back to their bedrooms, leaving their worn-out dancing shoes outside their doors. And the young woman, the soldier, she went to sit back down on that chair, and she took off quick as lightning the invisibility cloak, and she took up her position of pretending to be asleep. Well, in the morning, the servants came and found all those worn-out dancing slippers just as every other morning, and took them to the queen. And the young woman, the soldier, she went in to see the queen. And the queen said, "I see that you haven't managed to solve anything at all." "Your Majesty, let me explain. Let me show you something." So she told the story of how she had seen them all disappearing down the trapdoor, and that there was a passageway, the trees of silver and gold and diamonds. The queen said, "I don't believe it. Give me some proof." Whereupon the young soldier, she took out a leaf of silver, a leaf of gold, a leaf of diamonds. "Oh my," said the queen, holding them in her hands. "This is something new." Then she explained how the princes rode across a lake to a magical island with these princesses, and this was where they were wearing out their shoes. The queen again demanded some proof, and of course the young woman produced that silver goblet. "Well, well, well, it seems that you have discovered exactly what is happening." So then she called for all her 12 sons to come and stand before her. And she said, "You are going dancing every night with these princesses that I have never met. I want you all to be wedded in this world with real princesses. From now on, you will not visit this place." And indeed, once the secret was revealed and everyone heard it spoken out loud, the magic of it was broken. And in that very instant, that place with steps going down and the underground tunnel and all those strange magical trees, the underground lake, the princesses, all of it disappeared in a flash. And the princes also woke up from the spell, from the enchantment of disappearing night after night after night into that world. And they became present to this world. And the queen could feel the shift that had happened, and turned to the young woman, the soldier, and said, "You have done a great thing. You have broken the spell that my 12 sons were under. And for this, I will reward you. You can marry any of them that you wish." Well, the young woman, she looked at them all. They were all very good looking, but she liked the youngest one the most. And so she wed the youngest, and she inherited half the kingdom from the queen. And as for all those princes, they turned their energy and attention to the things of this world and found fulfillment and happiness here.